Hello you lovely people, welcome to the channel today, and today's content is a bit of a strange one because I did a video about a year and a half ago, and for some reason the algorithm's picked it up and it's getting views. And the question I'm getting asked about this video that I did is, what happened? Was there any updates? And the video I'm talking about was a video called "This is how easy it is for your Filipino to make an allegation and for you to spend time in prison." Now, many of my followers will know that video, but I'm getting many new views on it and they're asking for updates. So this video is purely to do with the update of what happened to my friend Manuel. And what I will do in this video, I will leave a link in the description to the video that I'm talking, that this video will be about, will be the update of that video. So I will leave a link in the description, guys, of that video that I did. But today will be an update on what happened. So, as most of you will know, is that my friend Manuel, he had a row with his girlfriend at the time, or he split up from his girlfriend, and he got with another woman, and his new woman was seen by his old girlfriend, and she made a serious allegation against him, and he ended up spending 3 years in a Philippine prison, awaiting his trial. And I know you guys have already seen that video, you will know this, but I'm just doing a little refresher to continue this video, okay? So yes, she made an allegation against him, and it was an allegation of sexual assault, okay? So the police acted on it and he was arrested, and his girlfriend, ex-girlfriend, she was related to the mayor of a municipality not far from here. So anyway, he was arrested, and he spent a lot of time in jail, backwards and forwards to the court, and it was just adjourned. But what happened was, at the end of this, people, he was found, because there was insufficient evidence for the charge of indecent assault or sexual assault. I think it might have been sexual assault, people, I think. So there was insufficient evidence found against him to find him guilty. So the prosecutor made a case of vexation, whereas he admitted, because the neighbours heard them arguing, okay, so he couldn't really deny the arguments. So the prosecution made a case to say, well, he raised his voice to his ex-partner. And I'm sorry about the wind, people, it's very windy here today, as you can probably see with the trees behind me. We've got no rains like they have in the northern part of the Philippines, but here we've got heavy winds. And I hope I'm not too close to these coconut trees where they're going to come down and smash me on the head, because I won't get to finish making this video. So the prosecution made a case because they wanted something on him, and he admitted to having arguments and raising his voice, and that was enough. They charged him, and he was sentenced for vexation, something to do with the Women and Children Act here or something like that. But because he'd already served, he served 3 years in prison. He spent 3 long years in prison. And I used to go and visit him, and it was in the local police station, the local jail in Dipolog, by the 3005 steps. And when I used to go and see him, I used to take him books and things like that. And here, incidentally, the prisons, you can take food if you want to, and you can take the money as well. You can give them money and food. But he was on an army pension, so money wasn't a problem for Manuel, because he had his own money. And incidentally, this lady who did make the allegations against him, during the course of the case where it was going on, she said she would drop the case if he paid her 3 million pesos. I think it was 3 million. It was either 2 million or 3 million. I think it might have been 3 million actually. And my friend refused because he didn't do it. And he said, Stephen, and he could have paid it. He had the money. He said, Stephen, if I pay 3 million Philippine pesos to get out of jail and to get this dropped, then then I look guilty. So his pride was sticking. If that had been me, people, I would have paid that money and just got the hell out of there. I would have got the hell, I would have paid for me freedom. But I wasn't the one who was spending time in prison with an allegation of that upon me, so it's easy me saying that on the outside. But Manuel, my friend, he wouldn't pay it. And I think there was a discussion that me and Manuel don't speak very much these days, so I can't really say what he's doing exactly today. The last time I spoke to Manuel was around about, it's got to be almost a year ago now, people. It's got to be almost that, or maybe 8 months, 8, 9, 10 months. And he said to me, because now he's back in the States, but I'll get to that in a minute. So they got him on vexation, arguing basically and raising his voice. But because he'd already spent that time in prison, 3 years, people, he spent 3 years in prison. That was spent. So if they were going to put him in prison for longer, they couldn't really, because the charge what he was charged with and found guilty of, he'd already done his time, because he was on 3 years on remand, so that was taken off of that time. So he got out, not free, he was deported. So he was taken from there, he was taken from the prison here in Dipolog City by immigration to the holding place up in Manila. So he spent, I think, 3 or 4 months in there where they were drawing up his deportation papers and his blacklist, and he got blacklisted and deported as an undesirable. Now, as I said, that was quite some time ago, and when he did get deported back to the States, and he lives in California, or he was the last time I spoke to him. And a lot of you in the comments I'm getting from this video that's being picked up by the algorithm, you were saying to me, well, why didn't you help him? To me. And I'm thinking, well, and I wrote, I said, it's not as easy as that. I said, my friend had the money to pay for his freedom if that's what he wanted to do, but he didn't want to do it. So they were saying to me, well, why didn't you hire a private detective? Me? Well, it's not like that here, and for me to get involved on the outside, I'm putting myself at risk. Don't forget there's politicians involved in this and stuff like that. There was nothing I could have done apart from giving my support by going to visit him. And I couldn't visit him every week because you get 2 visits a week in the Dipolog prison, and you're only allowed 1 person, and his new girlfriend, she used to want to visit him. So I didn't visit him every single week because he wanted to see his girlfriend, not me. So I did visit him often, people, but for you to say to me, why didn't I do more? Well, I couldn't have done more, even if I tried to do more, because here, as a foreigner, and don't forget, I'm on a 13A permanent residency. It doesn't mean to say that I'm a citizen of the country. I'm not. Something could have happened to me where I might have been, in trouble, for trying to hire a private detective or something like that. When you're in a foreign country, people, you've got to be so careful. If you're in England and I'm British and I did something like that, well, I couldn't be deported from my own country. So yes, if you're in your own country, you can do all these sorts of things. But here in the Philippines, you can't. You simply can't. And my friend Manuel just wanted the case to run its course, which he did. And the sad thing about all this was watching him deteriorate. Because he was shorter than me. I'm not a tall guy, but he was a bit shorter than me, but he was a stocky man. And he looked quite a powerful man. But after spending, let's say, 6 months, he got thinner and thinner and thinner. And he used to dye his hair. He didn't have a lot. And I used to take the mick out of him when I used to see him, just to try and brighten up a little bit, And he used to dye his hair. And then when I saw him over the weeks and the months, his hair was grey. And he was starting to go really, really thin. Worry and stress, people. Of course you're going to be worried and stressed with that charge against you. And I used to say to him, what you eating? you know, and I said, you know, you got the money to buy the hair dye. He said, well, I can buy hair dye if I want to and dye my hair. He said, what's the point? He said, who have I got to impress in prison? Which, you know, he was making a fair point. But his spirits were still high because as far as he was concerned, he was innocent. And I didn't know him brilliantly well, but I think I knew him well enough to, how well do we know people? You know, I don't know, but I don't think he would have done anything like that, you know. Well, anyway, he got not guilty anyway. But I mean, even as this process was going on, I was saying he wouldn't have done something like that. He wasn't like that. But like we say, we don't know anyone. But I would back Manuel up all the way. I don't think he would. I just don't think it was in him. But as I say, he was a strong lad. And then after seeing him deteriorate in prison, he was getting thinner and thinner. And I even used to go to the court, and there was a couple of times I went to the court. I thought, where's Manuel? And then there was no notice, and I'd say to, you know, to one of the ushers, when's the case of Manuel? It's always been adjourned. So, you know, you go there and no notification, just adjourned. And this was going on and on and on. And of course he was paying the lawyers every time, even for the adjournment. I think it was 7,000 pesos he was paying, even for an adjournment. So it was just money all the time. He was spending money on his lawyers, you know, like his defence and things like that. Now, God knows where, you know, that money was going. I don't know. But anyway, when I did talk to him in prison, I said, how are you getting on, Manuel? How are you really getting on? He said, it's okay. He says, because what he was doing with his pension as well, I think he was buying his safety to a degree, or buying friends in there, because he was buying electric fans for the inmates where he was. So I mean, I think, you know, when I visited him, you don't visit them in their cell, you know, they brought to like a catchment place, and there's lots of prisoners in there seeing their friends or family, girlfriends or whatever. And I said to him, what do you mean? He said, oh, he says, my cell where he has and there was, I can't remember how many people was in there, but he says there was 8 fans that he bought for everybody in there, so they all had electric fans. So, and I said, he's all right in here, you know, like, and no one's starting. He said, no, Stephen. He said, it's okay. He said, it's okay. It was just watching him deteriorate, you know, to skinniness. And he was eating, but probably not eating like me and you, because we haven't got no worries or concerns like he did. He was waiting trial, people, for all that time. But the end of the story is he's out. He's back in the States. He said, oh, and his girlfriend here, his new girlfriend here, I think at the time I spoke to him last time, he was trying to get paperwork together to get her over to there. Now, I don't know where she is. I haven't heard from her. Whether she's in the States now or not, I don't know. But it ended as the charge of the indecent assault or sexual assault was dropped, or they couldn't find him guilty on it, but they got him on vexation. Something to do with the Women and Children's Act of the Philippines. He got blacklisted, deported, on the blacklists and all that sort of stuff, so he could never come back to the Philippines, and he said he would never ever come back here. That was his words to me when I last spoke to him. He said his nightmare was over. And the worst part about this was, as well, people, was his mother was very sick. I remember that. And I used to, at the time there was Skype, you know, before Skype was, you know, now it's obsolete. But I used to contact his mother from time to time, or she would contact me about, you know, Manuel, her son, and she was very sick. And I thought, please, you know, don't pass away when your son's in prison here, because, you know, like, he won't be able to come. And she didn't. But Manuel said to me, the last time I spoke to him, that his mum was seriously ill, and I don't know whether she's still with us or not, but as I said, I haven't spoken to Manuel since. I think he wants to forget it and just get on with his life in America. But this is the update, people, because as I said, the algorithm picked up that video, and I'm thinking, where's these messages coming from? From the video I made about a year and 6 months ago or something. So this is the reply to that. So people, listen, if there is wind in this video, I do apologise. I can't help that. But take good care, people. Stay healthy. God bless you all. And whatever you're doing, try and do it well. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.